Welcome to Kieu Dung channel. If this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to support me in creating more meaningful videos. Today, we step into a quiet yet powerful story about Dung Luyan, a woman of strength, resilience, and a heart that never stops giving. For years, she has devoted every single day to raising her young daughter, doing everything she can to keep her in school. Life has not been easy, and money is never enough. But her greatest hope is simple: to earn just enough so her daughter can walk into class with peace in her heart and a genuine smile on her face. The early morning light had barely touched the rooftops when Dung Luyan opened her eyes. Outside, the village was still half asleep, wrapped in the cool hush of dawn. A thin blanket of mist drifted across the fields, and the sound of distant birds hinted that a new day was beginning. She reached for her jacket, worn from years of use, slipped it over her shoulders, and stepped out into the soft morning air. The path to her guava garden stretched out in front of her, a path she had walked so many times that it felt like part of her own heartbeat. Beneath her feet, the earth was cool and damp. Every step stirred up the gentle scent of soil, dew, and growing things. Above her, the sky slowly lightened from deep blue to soft gold. Somewhere far away, a rooster crowed, signaling that the day was waking up. As she reached the entrance of the garden, she paused for a moment. There it was, her small world of green, the place she had poured her strength, her time, and her hope into year after year. The guava trees stood quietly in rows, their leaves shimmering with tiny droplets of dew. It was a simple sight, yet something about it always made her heart steady. This garden was more than land. It was a companion, a teacher, and a silent witness to every one of her struggles and victories. She stepped inside and reached for the first branch. The guavas hung low, full and round, shimmering faintly as sunlight filtered through the leaves. She gently cupped one in her hand, feeling its firmness. With a practiced twist, she plucked it and set it into her bamboo basket. The light thud it made was soft but meaningful, like a small affirmation that her work mattered. She continued down the row, moving slowly, carefully. Her hands, though calloused from years of use, moved with surprising tenderness. Each fruit was examined like something precious. She lifted them toward the light, checking for color, weight, and shape. Only the best ones would be chosen. This was her routine every morning, and she never rushed it. From time to time, she would choose a guava that looked especially ripe and take a small bite. The sweetness spread across her tongue, clean, refreshing, almost floral. That taste held more than flavor. It held memories. Days of scorching sun when she watered the plants again and again so they wouldn't wilt. Afternoons of heavy rain when she ran through the storm just to check that the soil hadn't washed away. Countless evenings when exhaustion tugged at her body, but she still chose to stay in the garden a little longer. Every bite was a reminder that her sacrifices had not been in vain. As she moved deeper into the garden, the rising sun began to warm her back. Light streamed between the branches, painting the leaves in shades of gold and emerald. Birds hopped from branch to branch above her, shaking off droplets of dew like tiny diamonds. The world around her felt alive, fresh, and hopeful. She paused beside a tree that she remembered planting years ago. A young sapling back then, barely taller than her waist. Now it stretched upward, strong and full of fruit.
She ran her hand down its trunk, feeling a strange sense of pride. She thought of how much could grow with patience, how much could flourish with care. Sometimes she found guavas so perfect that she couldn't help but smile. Round, smooth, flawless. She held them a little longer before lowering them into the basket, as though thanking the tree for its gift. Her bamboo basket grew heavier with every passing minute. She shifted it gently, careful not to bruise the fruit. The weight didn't bother her. In fact, she welcomed it. It was the weight of purpose, the weight of honest work, the weight of a mother providing for her child. Sweat began to form on her forehead, though the morning was still cool. She wiped it away with the back of her hand and kept going. The garden stretched ahead, quiet and steady. She moved from tree to tree, from row to row, breathing in the scent of fresh leaves. Every step, every movement felt like a small prayer. A prayer for a good harvest, for good sales at the market, for strength to keep going. Eventually, the basket filled to the brim. She looked down at it, full of plump green guavas, and felt her chest warm with satisfaction. This wasn't just fruit. This was effort turned into something real. This was hope she could carry on her back. This was another small victory in the journey of a hard-working life. She straightened her back slowly, stretching her shoulders. A soft breeze drifted through the garden, brushing against her cheeks. For a moment, she simply stood still, letting the world around her breathe. She listened to the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant sounds of the waking village, and the quiet thump of her own heart. Here, in the middle of her guava trees, she felt grounded. She felt connected to the earth beneath her feet, to the sunlight above her, to every dream she carried. Her life wasn't luxurious, but it was sincere. It was built with effort and watered by love. When she reached the marketplace, she found a small empty corner near the entrance, a place she had used many times before. She laid the basket down carefully and began arranging the guavas in neat rows. The fruits looked fresh and inviting, their pale green skins glowing under the morning light. It didn't take long for the first customers to arrive. A woman passing by slowed down, drawn by the sight of the guavas. She picked one up, turned it gently, and smiled. Soon, another person approached, and then another. Coins exchanged hands, guavas disappeared one by one, and for a brief moment, Sung Luen felt the familiar sense of hope that always came with a good morning sale. But none of the buyers knew the story behind these fruits. They saw freshness, crispness, sweetness, but they didn't see the early mornings, the sore muscles, the sunburnt skin, or the quiet strength of a woman who refused to give up. To them, the guavas were simply produce. To her, they were pieces of her own effort, shaped by countless silent hours. As the first wave of customers faded and the market grew busier, the number of people stopping by began to thin. Sung Luen looked at the half-empty basket and knew it was time to move. She packed the remaining guavas, lifted the basket once more, and walked deeper into the market. Her first stop was the small pharmacy booth. The owner recognized her and greeted her warmly. A quick conversation, a handful of guavas weighed on the scale, and another sale was made. Then she moved on to the clothing section of the market, a bustling area filled with bright fabrics and friendly chatter. Several women looked up as she passed by, and soon they gathered around her basket, choosing guavas to bring home to their families. Each person bought only a few kilos, but to her, every sale mattered. Every coin slipping into her hand was like a piece of encouragement from life itself, gentle reminders that all her efforts were being seen, even if only in small ways. Bit by bit, the basket grew lighter. The weight on her shoulders eased, and before long, there was only one guava left. She held it in her hand for a moment, smiling softly, before handing it to the final customer. Just like that, the basket was empty. A quiet sense of accomplishment washed over her. It wasn't a fortune she had earned, not even close, but it was enough. Enough to feel proud, enough to keep going, enough to warm her heart after a long morning of work. As she stepped away from the market stalls, the empty basket swinging gently at her side, she felt a small spark of joy. She had given her best today, and that to her was everything.
With the modest amount of money she had earned that morning, Sung Luen never once thought about spending it on herself. The idea didn't even cross her mind. Her first thought, her only thought, was of her daughter. The sweetness of the morning's work, the relief of selling all her guavas, all of it meant nothing compared to the joy she felt knowing she could visit her little girl. She walked toward the school with quiet anticipation, her empty bamboo basket swinging lightly at her side. The road was warm with sunlight now, and the village was in full motion. But inside her heart, there was a calm, gentle excitement. Every step felt purposeful. Every breath felt lighter. At the end of this walk was someone waiting for her, someone who was her entire world. When she arrived at the schoolyard, she smoothed her clothes, took a steady breath, and knocked softly on the classroom door. The teacher looked up and immediately understood. With a kind smile, she nodded and called the little girl. The moment her daughter appeared, her eyes lit up like morning stars. She ran into her mother's arms with pure joy. Sung Luen held her close, breathing in the scent of her daughter's hair, feeling the tiny heartbeat against her chest. In that embrace, the exhaustion of the long morning dissolved completely. Hand in hand, they walked to the old swing set at the corner of the yard. The swing chains were slightly rusty, the seat a little worn, but for them it was a magical place. They sat side by side on the wooden seat, legs dangling freely, letting the breeze lift them gently forward. As the swing began to move, the child giggled, a bright, ringing sound that filled the entire schoolyard. Sung Luen couldn't help but laugh softly along with her. She watched her daughter's face tilt up toward the sky, eyes closed in joy, hair fluttering behind her in the wind. That laughter, innocent and unguarded, swept away every worry she carried. It was like being reminded of why she worked so hard, why she woke up before sunrise, and why she pushed through tiredness day after day. After a while, the little girl tugged on her mother's sleeve, hinting at something she wanted. Understanding immediately, Sung Luen took her to the small shop near the school gate. Together, they chose the child's favorite treats, a soft sweet bun, a small carton of milk, and a few snacks she loved. They weren't expensive, but to her daughter, they were treasures. And to Sung Luen, being able to buy them with her own hard-earned money was a quiet triumph. She opened the carton of milk and held it while her daughter drank, wiping a bit from the corner of her lips with gentle affection. The girl nibbled on her bread happily, swinging her legs and humming a small tune. To anyone passing by, the scene may have looked ordinary, even simple. But to a mother, it held the weight of the world. It was a moment she wanted to pause, to hold, to keep forever. As they walked back toward the classroom, her daughter squeezed her hand tightly, as if wanting the moment to last just a little bit longer. When they reached the door, the little girl wrapped her arms around her mother in a sudden, heartfelt hug. It was warm, soft, sincere, the kind of hug that's enough to heal a tired heart in an instant. Sung Luen knelt down and straightened her daughter's shirt, brushing her hair gently. "Be good, my little one," she whispered. The girl nodded, smiling shyly, before slipping back into the classroom.
For a long moment, Sung Luen stood there, watching through the doorway as her daughter rejoined her classmates. She felt a peaceful fullness settle in her chest, a mixture of love, pride, and gratitude. She turned to leave, her steps slower this time, savoring the lingering warmth of the moment. The image of the two of them, hands intertwined, laughter echoing from the swing, the sweetness of shared snacks, etched itself deeply into her heart, and anyone who had witnessed it would have felt something stir within them too. It was a simple snapshot of life, yet one overflowing with meaning. Every guava she picked that morning, every step she took from stall to stall at the market, and every minute she spent beside her daughter now, formed a single, powerful reminder. Life's greatest value isn't found in grand achievements, but in persistence, in quiet sacrifice, and in the love we give without expectation. These small, tender, everyday moments, moments of effort, moments of connection, moments of love, are what truly shape a life worth living. If you believe that gentle stories like this can warm someone's heart, can inspire them, or simply help them pause and breathe for a moment in this busy world, then we invite you to subscribe to the channel. Together, let's continue to share these beautiful, meaningful moments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying until the end. May your day be filled with the same gentle kindness that filled Sung Luen's.